What's going on, guys? Dare here with Fantasy Football Advice, coming at you with another mock draft. Now, I know you guys don't really like ESPN all that much, but we are getting closer to the season, and as a specific request, we were asked to do a 10-team PPR from the middle position on ESPN. So, I'm in a league here, 10 teams. I'm at the 5th pick. I haven't done a mock on ESPN since the last one posted to the website or to the YouTube channel, and it looks like they did fix Ezekiel Elliott's ranking. Let's see if we can find him. Ezekiel Elliott listed at 27th overall. That's a good deal. We posted a video of the impact on Ezekiel Elliott and where you should take him, and I would find it hard not to take him in the back of the second if I had, either a Bell or a Johnson, because by the time playoffs rolled around, you'd just have a stud team. So in the 5th spot, my plan right now is I want Julio Jones in a PPR. If I don't get Julio Jones, call me crazy, but I may actually get LaShawn McCoy. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Odell Beckham or Mike Evans, but all the mocks that I've been doing, it's so tough to find solid running backs once you go wide receiver, wide receiver. So there's still a chance I get Julio. We'll see how this team comes out. I'm going to draft this team as if I were actually drafting, but the reason I would stick with Julio is he's just a target monster. So even if I'm not going to get, one of these top tier RBs, I'd be more than happy with Julio. And this is a 10-team league, so then again, the players aren't going to be too scarce. 12-team leagues, that's when you're really starting to get thin at certain positions. But 10-team leagues are normally pretty stacked. I just prefer having a running back, at least a top tier running back, as one of my first picks. Julio's an exception though. I'm glad they did fix Ezekiel Elliott though, because if he gets auto drafted by anyone, like this guy looks like he's on auto pick already, it's just going to kind of throw off the whole dynamic of the draft, because in reality nobody in your league is going to be drafting Ezekiel Elliott. Not too much change within the top 24 lately. A few risers in Terrell Pryor. Leonard Fournette was looking decent in his preseason game. You had Kelvin Benjamin score a touchdown as well. You're going to see a lot of moves happening between now and when the preseason's actually over. Just certain players who are going to have big performances, and then all of a sudden their draft stock's just going to shoot through the roof. One player in particular I'm really worried about that happening with is Martavis Bryant. Martavis Bryant, he's just such a superior talent. A 60-yard touchdown is definitely something that he can put together in his first game back. He's already been cleared for preseason activities, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. And I know instantly if he does that, his ADP, which is already climbing, I'll have to check in a second where it is in ESPN, is just going to climb even faster and further. So let's see. Martavis Bryant. He's actually a guy I've been targeting in a lot of leagues. He is 66th overall. So in a 10-team league, theoretically that's a 6th-round pick. I don't think he'll make it there. Not even close. So it's time to start preparing for my next pick. I have been kind of a fan of going running back, because when you get later on into this draft, the depth at wide receiver is just so immense. But depending on the running back, I would go as low as Jay Ajayi. Let's see. I wouldn't cross that line and go running back if Leonard Fournette or Lamar Miller were my options. I don't think I've really owned either of these guys, Leonard Fournette or Lamar Miller. I do like Todd Gurley a lot, and I wouldn't mind taking him, but I would rather have him as my 3rd-round pick in a 10-team league, which in the 5th spot is not really going to happen. Devontae Freeman falling into the 10th is great. The 10th pick. Let's see. Still no update with Luck yet. Apparently he's rumored not to have to start on the PUP list. That's good news for Luck, because at that point, 6 weeks without Luck, are you really going to want to invest your 2nd-round pick into him? Not me. So I have Jordan Howard, DeMarco Murray, Jay Ajayi. All three of those, I can get one of those three, and I am going to target one because the only other receiver who I would want, let's see, Dez Bryant wouldn't be bad, Doug Baldwin would be okay, but I think I would rather go DeMarco Murray, Jordan Howard, or Jay Ajayi. Jay Ajayi got taken right now. I'm more than happy with LaShawn McCoy and DeMarco Murray. It's my first two picks. Out of those, I think Jay Ajayi and DeMarco have both climbed up for me. Jordan Howard has kind of stayed the same, which inevitably has made him slightly drop down in my ranks. I'm hoping to see something out of him during preseason, but everyone's still all over him. I know a few experts, especially in the roto world side of things, that have Jordan Howard the highest ranked out of all of those, right behind Devontae Freeman, maybe even above in some of their rankings. Above Devontae Freeman. Nobody ranks him above LaShawn McCoy. But like kind of that next tier, the Melvin Gordon, Jay Ajayi area. So I think the clear-cut pick here is going to be Amari Cooper as my wide receiver 1. It's not the greatest wide receiver 1 pick ever, but that I already went 2 running backs first because Amari Cooper, we saw at the end of last year, he just kind of fell off. He was receiving less targets. He was a lower percentage of catchable balls. It could be tied to the struggles of Derek Carr. Derek Carr's thumb injury. As we know, Derek Carr exited the last game, but Amari Cooper just wasn't really getting it done on the field, whereas in the beginning of the year, he had like 3 games with over 100-something yards. Now, that's the kind of player you hope to have, and hopefully he starts off hot again, but you know, in the wide receiver 1 position, you kind of want them to be safe week over week over week. I don't think anyone would argue with you if you told them that Amari Cooper is going to finish in the top 12 coming at the end of the 2017 season. But just troubling because he is definitely a player that can go hot and cold. He is coming into that 3rd year of wide receivers where they actually tend to take that next step. But we'll have to see it when we see it on the field. Now, Michael Crabtree's on the board right now. Golden Tate, Edelman, Montgomery, Rogers. The pick may actually be Allen Robinson or Larry Fitzgerald. Since this is PPR, I do value Larry Fitzgerald a little higher. Normally here, I probably would have grabbed Watkins. But as we know, the news, Watkins is now an LA Ram. Yuck. The Bills already don't have a prolific passing offense by any means, but Jared Goff led Rams, no thank you. So he definitely, where is he now? Watkins, he's 50th overall. That's not a bad value for him. He has produced with many quarterbacks. I just don't know if Jared Goff can be that guy. So Golden Tate, Allen Robinson, Larry Fitzgerald. I think it's Larry Fitzgerald here. I may be able to get him on the wraparound. So maybe I go Tate. I think I'm going to go Larry Fitzgerald. I haven't been drafting him that much. Big Dog's Gotta Eat fantasy football channel kind of talked us. We did a little podcast style thing earlier this weekend, and he was talking about Larry Fitzgerald. And one thing I can guarantee about Fitz this year is that by the first 4 weeks he will be a wide receiver 1. He just has a really easy early passing schedule, and I am not afraid to trade any of my players. I'm the last guy to think if a player starts off hot and he gets 4 consecutive games of 100 yards that I need to keep him because he's going to keep up that pace and he's going to be an anchor for my team. I'm the opposite. I'll take that and I'll sell him really quickly. I don't care who it is. Marvin Jones last year, Kelvin Benjamin last year, Willie Snead even last year. These were all guys I was just like, get rid of them real quick. They all started with remarkably fast paces. Larry Fitzgerald is definitely going to do so. Historically, Fitz has been doing that throughout his career, especially as he's gotten older, was start off hot and then really tail off. Well, luckily for me, I got Allen Robinson. I could go Joe Mixon here, but lately with all the mixed reports, it's been tough to judge. because you know, Jeremy Hill's looking good. Jeremy Hill's going to get the goal line touches. You know, Gio Bernard is looking great now that he's back from injury, which he wasn't supposed to be at that time. So it's like a lot of mixed reports coming out of that camp. And for a player to go so high, especially a rookie, don't get me wrong, Joe Mixon is an amazing talent, but just something I don't want to have to deal with. You kind of want something locked and loaded, and with your 5th round pick in a 10 team, it's nothing but at this point. One person we are rising on is Dalvin Cook. Unquestionably, I mean, at first you had Latavius Murray, who they paid, so obviously he was going to be getting, you know, a lot of action, right? You know, you pay a guy money like that, he's going to see the field. But when Dalvin Cook, he's taking the first team reps, he's looking good, he's the guy. Now, Jamison Crowder, really good pick. I prefer Stephon Diggs, but I already told you Martavis Bryant is kind of a target for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab Martavis Bryant here just to make sure that I can snag him, and then I'm going to grab hopefully one of these Willie Snead. Jamison Crowder's will be gone, but Stephon Diggs on the wraparound. These really good PPR guys. Then I definitely need to start taking some running backs. This is a PPR league, so it's a little easier to find solid running backs. But my wide receiver core is just solid now. Mark Ingram still on the board at this point is a really good deal. Kyle Rudolph. Be looking into him. They have Kyle Rudolph ranked ahead of Tyler Eifert. If I was drafting, I would take Tyler Eifert well ahead of Kyle Rudolph. Tyler Eifert's that kind of game-changing talent. If he played all 16 games and Gronk played all 16 games, they would probably end up fighting for that 1st and 2nd spot. Whenever Eifert's on the field, his points per game average are insane. That's not to say Gronk is, you know, at any advantage or disadvantage. It's just they have a lot more options on the offense for the Patriots, something that Tyler Eifert doesn't have to struggle with. So I did get Willie Snead, Spencer Ware Gillislee, Theo Riddick, CJ Anderson. Let's see. Spencer Ware dropping this late is pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Spencer Ware over these guys. Okay, so I'm going to go Spencer Ware. He's actually a guy who's really dropped. We have Paul Perkins. I just need a running back. Paul Perkins, he's okay. He's definitely a great middle round pick, especially more in standard though. PPR, he will see the field and he will see some receptions, but I think Spencer Ware's far above better player from what at least I've seen. He really did tail off, maybe due to the concussion issues, whatever. But I've seen Spencer Ware do it before. Paul Perkins is still kind of unknown at this point. I will still keep my eye on one other wide receiver. I do want to mention that Rob Kelly is someone who we've been rising. All the reports, Samaje Perine, believe me, we were big fans of Perine. But if he can't hold on to the ball, that's the quickest way to lose your job. Let's see, Abdullah. Okay, Abdullah got taken. He would have been a great pick here. Adrian Peterson is not a bad pick here either. So CJ Anderson, Adrian Peterson. I think I'm going to go for Peterson. Terrence West is a really great steal here too. I like the receivers, Macklin, Decker, but this is what I'm talking about. We're in what? This is my 8th round pick. You have players like Macklin, Eric Decker, Tyrell Williams. These are all stud players, and they're going this late. You know, you could argue any of these guys to end up the year at wide receiver 2 numbers. Now, there's obviously so much talent at the wide receiver position this year. It's going to be a crapshoot to finish in the top 24 this year. But I think one thing that's going to benefit from that is that each week you're going to find these waiver wire gems that you're going to be able to just start locked and loaded. Now, Tyler Eifert being here in, the 9th round pick, I think I got to take him. Jimmy Graham's here too. Don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against Jimmy Graham, but Tyler Eifert's got to be the pick here. I feel bad passing up on Tyrell Williams. Such a huge fan of him. But Tyler Eifert's really great talent. I don't know why. Look, this is what could happen in your draft. Look at all these people sleeping on Tyrell Williams. He went 88th overall, projected 84th. Don't let that happen to you. Tyrell Williams his measurables are literally neck and neck with Martavis Bryant. Their speed, their catch radius, their burst ability. So I took Doug Martin here too. So, I mean, they're neck and neck, right next to each other in their measurables, and I'm one of the biggest Martavis Bryant supporters. I think Tyrell Williams is a home run hit. I think their tough passing schedule actually could potentially help Tyrell Williams become have more opportunities on the field, because Keenan Allen's going to suck up that #1 coverage. Keenan Allen technically is their wide receiver 1. He should be the most targeted receiver on that offense, but we've seen multiple receivers be successful before, at least starting level, and I would say that Tyrell Williams is definitely the best talent that they've had at a wide receiver 2 on that team in a long time. Melvin Gordon, even though he's been unproductive, is still an upgrade, if you ask me, from Ryan Matthews, because if you can't stay on the field, you're not helping anybody. I think at this point, Jaquiz Rogers wouldn't be bad because I have Doug Martin, but I think Devontae Parker is a great pick because, as you all know, we had Jay Cutler join the Miami Dolphins, and Devontae Parker suits his kind of play style. Normally he hyper focuses on one receiver and just peppers them with targets. Devontae Parker has a similar build to like an Alshon Jeffrey or a Brandon Marshall. More so than Jarvis Landry does or Kenny Stills. You don't know though. Jarvis Landry still could be the main focus, the main target, but at this point, I'm not going to go ahead and assume that for an early pick, at least as early as Jarvis is going. I'll take the risk and bump up Devontae Parker though. I'm going to start looking for a quarterback here. There's Derek Carr, Jameis Winston, Dak Prescott. Wouldn't mind any of these guys at this point, so I'm probably not going to take one. We have Tyrod Taylor, maybe a slight bump down. I wouldn't really call it a slight bump down because, I mean, you lose Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins is a great talent, but they brought in Jordan Matthews. They have Charles Clay, Anquan Bolden. They're trying to make moves. Okay, I'm gonna go Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry here. Yeah, they're trying to make moves. I think Tyrod Taylor, even though he has a pretty good arm, what we've seen in games without Sammy Watkins is he's relied a lot more on his legs. And if he's relying on his legs, then will he really be losing that many fantasy points if he has to run more? I mean, rushing versus a passing play, you have 25 passing yards or 10 rushing yards. Those are equal to one another. So even though he may struggle in one area versus the other, it may open up opportunities because his playtime on the field is still going to stay the same. And let's be honest here, Tyrod's been successful with or without Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins hasn't exactly been this poster child for, a healthy wide receiver. He has missed games, and Tyrod Taylor still manages to be relevant in the fantasy community. I think I'm going to go Marcus Mariota here, if he makes it to me. If not, I'm going Stafford for sure. Nothing against Phillip Rivers. I probably would take Phillip Rivers if I had to lock into one for the whole season, but I know that Phillip Rivers will more than likely be on waivers. because his first 4 weeks is pretty tough passing. I'm really liking this team so far. A little iffy on the running backs, but I'm only planning on starting 2. This is a PPR league. I normally only start 2 running backs, and DeMarco Murray and LaShawn McCoy, they're going to be locked and loaded starters every week. See, this is what I'm telling you. Look at all these wide receivers I'm able to pull. It's so deep. But if you get those 2 running backs, first and second pick, you always seem to open yourself up to more opportunities. I even went ahead and took Tyler Eifert earlier than I should have. I will admit that. I'll look at one more sleeper wide receiver. Like Kevin White is like a very last final pick. Not afraid to get rid of him. Kenny Stills, Robert Woods. Nope, rip his fantasy value. Ever since Sammy Watkins went there. If you really think there can be 2 fantasy productive RBs, you're kidding. Thomas Rawls. I'm going to take him because there's been mixed reports about who's going to end up taking the touches. Clearly, CJ Prosise will be that, passing specialist back, but Rawls is no stranger to catching some balls from the backfield. If he's working with the ones, which he is since the latest report, and he did have his final game of the season pretty successful, so I will keep my eye on him as a last pick. Not afraid to let him go. Let's see about kicker and defense. So some sleeper defenses. I'm always a fan of the Eagles. Giants are a great sleeper defense too. They did really well last year, and they're kind of underrated coming into this year. Like they had 130 points last year. Now they're projected 89. Like really? What? Why? Why do you think they're going to get worse than they did last year? Then Eagles, they scored 127 points last year. Now they're projected 88. I don't know who's doing these projections, but the Eagles do well every year. This is why you cannot take a defense early. I mean, theoretically you could, but the point differentials aren't that high, and you always want to take shots on a player like Derrick Henry. Actually, now that I think of it, Derrick Henry, I have Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray. I'm not sure I like that move, but I did it unintentionally. Either way, that should shore up one spot for me, no matter what happens to DeMarco. He is getting up there in age. I'm not projecting an injury, but guess I handcuffed, so to speak. Derrick Henry does have some standalone value, but I guess I didn't notice I did that. I probably wouldn't have. Would have probably picked up another wide receiver, maybe like a Marvin Jones. Oh yeah, and between defense and kicker, always take your kicker last. Take your defense first, because kickers, I mean, I stream kickers basically. It really doesn't matter to me. Let's see a good sleeper one. Get the sleeper, whoever is on the Redskins. If you can get them, they're good. Carolina's good. Oakland's good. They're going to be putting up some points. Dustin Hopkins, he's sick. Mason Crosby, another good one. Cairo Santos is really good too. Out of this, I think I'm going to go Janikowski. I trust in this Oakland's offense. So we have Matthew Stafford at quarterback. It's not bad. Points per game basis, he's not going to blow you through the roof here, but he's definitely a solid late round quarterback who I have been targeting in a lot of these mock drafts, and I probably will own shares of him in the 2017 season. LaShawn McCoy, DeMarco Murray, really great picks there. I have no problem starting these guys week over week and expecting consistent points. Now LaShawn McCoy is a little bit injury prone, but he found himself in a really good position last year, and with Mike Gillislee out, his touchdown upside could actually increase, and this is a PPR league, so theoretically he should be on the higher end of point scoring because he does get a slight bump in PPR. DeMarco Murray, same thing. I think he is more of a PPR guy. He's definitely not more Jordan Howard-esque in the fact that he can't catch. DeMarco Murray's done it before, and I am very glad to have him in my RB2 spot. Amari Cooper, that's where things get a little shaky. Amari Cooper can go hot and cold. A lot of people project him to be one of the receivers to take a step. I think he's going to be great this year. As a wide receiver one, I can't consistently expect him to reach an 80-yard mark. He may have, you know, a 2 for 20 stat line from week to week, but that's why I got Larry Fitzgerald here. Tyler Eifert, he is definitely a guy who I may want to look at some waiver wire options on, because even though he's really healthy right now and he probably will play week 1, it's not going to take much to take him out. At least so far in his career, he's proven that he can't stay on the field consistently. But what has been proven is that if he's on the field, he's going to be a stud. Allen Robinson, we do expect some, you know, positive regression to the mean on his stats from between last year and 2015. We don't expect him to go completely up to the 2015 numbers, but we expect him to meet somewhere in the middle. So in a flex wide receiver 3 spot, I'm really happy. I probably won't even play him week 1. I probably will play my next wide receiver, Martavis Bryant. I have very high expectations for him. I expect him to go out with a bang. Spencer Ware, Adrian Peterson, Doug Martin, Derrick Henry, Thomas Rawls. These guys, I know I drafted a lot of running backs, right? This is kind of what you have to do. My wide receiver core, and I didn't mention Devontae Parker, add him in there. My wide receiver core is extremely solid, but these running backs, all you need is 2 of them to hit. I can guarantee you that by week 6, not all of these guys will be on my roster. Doug Martin is going to be the starter when he gets there, so he is kind of like a stash play for me. I only plan on starting 2 running backs, but you have Thomas Rawls, Adrian Peterson, and Spencer Ware. Spencer Ware is definitely going to at least start the team as the starting option. We'll see how productive he will be. If he hits, I got him as like my 8th round pick, so definitely a steal there. Thomas Rawls, we'll see how reports end up being on him and if he starts the season as a starter. And you get the starter from Seattle. He had some good games last year, including a game where I think he broke the playoff record previously held by Marshawn Lynch. Each have upside. Not afraid to drop any of them. Not afraid to trade any of them if they really have really good games, because, again, I don't plan on starting any of them over DeMarco and LaShawn McCoy. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Keep an eye out for Monday's mock draft. Mondays I'm going to be doing it off Fantasy Football Calculator, a 12-team PPR from the 12 spot. I actually just got my draft position. Not very stoked about it because my draft position is from the 12 spot, literally my least favorite spot, but I'm going to do it for my own practice. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Toss it a big thumbs up. We'll catch you on the next one.